So I need to get to the new Avantasia album. I'd like to cover the new Lorna Shore album where possible. My new Slipknot video is at 11 pages long already, and it's not even finished. There's a new fucking Devon Townsend album coming out very shortly. Oh, and I'm moving to Bristol at the end of the month. Hello, welcome back to Crushing Sounds. My name is Chris, and today I'm looking at one of my most anticipated albums of the year, Avantasia's A Paranormal Evening with the Moonflower Society.
I see ghosts and specters right around me, living in dark, blazing the dark. One by one, pictures gather round me. Where those moonflowers used to rust no more.
As I alluded to in the intro, there are so many albums flying at me right now that I wanted to listen to. It's just been a pretty awesome year for heavy metal releases, if you ask me. I'm sure you'll agree. Probably the backlog from COVID has probably been a big part of that, but whatever, I'll leave that up to more smarter minds than me to figure that one out. Obviously, though, of course, my attention can't be everywhere at once, so naturally I gravitate to the releases that I'm more excited for in the first place. As such, the new Avantasia album. So Avantasia, for those who do not know, is a metal supergroup created by Tobias Sammet. Originally, he only intended the project to last 2 albums. The project has since gone on to release 6 full-length studio albums and has become a legend of the symphonic / power metal scene. With music solely written by Tobias, he ropes in a massive lineup of established vocalists to play various characters across his albums. Previous albums have included such legends as Dee Snider, Michael Kiske, Sharon Den Adel, Marco Hietala, Hansi Kirsch, and Alice fucking Cooper, to name but a fraction. Think of him as the Nick Fury of European metal, bringing all the Avengers together. I'm here to talk to you about the Avantasia initiative. If you happened to watch my interview with Serena Cherry of Svalbard, you might have watched a bit where we start gushing all over Tobias Sammet and Avantasia.
Nightwish, Avantasia, and Keep of California.
Fucking Avantasia is so good!
I love him so much.
I love Avantasia. He's a genius. He is a
Just about to say that.
genius. Yeah, I think Avantasia, and by extension Tobias Sammet, is amazing. To me, it's just the most epic creative project I have ever heard in heavy metal. The way all the albums are one cohesive long package, all the amazing vocalists, the excited speculation as to who's going to be on this next one, it all just culminates into such an exciting artist to dive into. I know this kind of thing exists in the genre already, the obvious example being Arian, but I confess Avantasia is the only one I've really given that much time into. Let me know which Arian album I should get to, if you're a fan of said band. I hear I should check out Arjun Anthony Lucasen? Fuck me. I hear he does amazing work as well, so I would like to check that stuff out at some point. I've heard bits across Avantasia's discography, but where I started was from Ghostlights, so that album and Moonglow I know very, very well. I know a bunch of songs before either of those albums, but those are the 2 I know best, definitely. What I love most about Tobias Sammet's writing is that despite the fact that you kind of know what you're getting from an Avantasia album if you've heard one already, even so, he still manages to send chills down your spine with whatever epic idea he has next. I still remember the first time I heard Let the Storm Descend Upon You, and the chills that went down my spine. I thought, nothing's ever going to top that. And then I heard The Raven Child, and the same thing just happened again. That feeling of, my God, this is just epic and huge and incredible. I refer again to what Serena said.
But I mean, yeah, again, I listened to all of Tobias Sammet's work, and I just go, how did he write these songs? They're like 12 minutes long and they never get boring. Like, it's amazing.
So yeah, I love this band, and was very excited to listen to the brand new album, A Paranormal Evening with the Moonflower Society, which might be the longest album title I've had to read out in quite some time. General thoughts first. I really wish someone had told me before going into this album what to expect. That might sound weird, but go with me for a second. The first time I heard this album all the way through, I remember coming away thinking, that was good, but it feels like it's missing something. It took me quite a while to figure out why I felt that way, and it hit me like a truck when I figured it out. I was waiting the whole album for that one massive epic song that just blows me away. I know not every Avantasia album has that one long, massive, epic masterpiece, but it's become such a staple of this band at this point. I was just sort of subconsciously expecting it the whole time. Eventually, and I'm jumping uncharacteristically ahead here to the end of the album, we do get it. It's right at the end of everything. I will talk about said song a little bit later on. But my point is, this expectation, I think, tarnished the album for me on the very first listen, and only the first listen, but the whole time I was waiting for this sense of scope that I love, but I wasn't getting it right away, and not even right away, not for most of the album. That, sure, is baggage I was bringing in. It probably wasn't the fault of the album, it's just what I wanted from it. I will say that on subsequent listens, knowing the structure of the album ahead of time did a lot to mitigate this yearning. So if, like me, you associate Avantasia with being able to masterfully write long, epic songs, be aware this album has only one, and it's at the very end of the album. With that completely ridiculous and specific issue I had with my first listen out of the way, let's get into a more fair and optimistic look at the newest story from Avantasia. I say story because Avantasia albums are exactly that. The albums tell a story, and the various singers are usually there to play as certain characters. I won't be delving into any of that. Sorry if you were looking for a play-by-play of the narrative of this thing, but I couldn't do that even if I wanted to. I have never bothered with the story of an Avantasia album, mostly because I'm a music lover first. If I wanted to read an epic fantasy, I would read one. Also, I wouldn't be able to discern what the story is. Anyway, Avantasia lyrics are wishy-washy, nonsense, and utterly ridiculous. I love them for it. It fits the whimsical tone perfectly, but fuck me if I was going to get any sort of plot out of any of these. It's almost like Dragon Force levels of really cliche in the style and genre and tone that they're going for. It works, don't get me wrong, it works, but it's mostly just meaningless lyrical noise, really. But, you know, it's enjoyable. But, yeah, so I enjoy Avantasia for the music and the music alone, and that's what we'll be focusing on today. So the first song, Welcome to the Shadows, opens as quaintly and tone-setting as any Avantasia album can. The keys line just screams Avantasia to me, and paired with Tobias's vocals, I'm there from the word go, which, you know, is always a strong way to start. The rest of the song is that chanting, more mid-tempo, kind of bombastic Avantasia style. It has some strong hooks in the chorus for sure. Also love the choir backing, which is a consistent praise for the whole album. The choir on this album is fantastic. For my money though, we start off proper with The Wicked Rule of the Night. Anyone who says that Avantasia are not a metal band, they're a rock opera band or whatever nonsense, it's songs like this that prove them wrong. After that tension building intro, it blasts off with tremendous pace and momentum that is carried throughout the whole bloody thing. Those verses are heavy as fuck. Absolutely love the chugging rhythm, and I love how the fast kicks that you hear in the verses are brought back in the chorus. keeps it as exciting as the verse, yet letting the pre-chorus, giving that pre-chorus room to breathe and really bridge those sections together. Also, fuck me, Ralph Sheepers can fucking sing. I haven't heard any Primal Fear, but perhaps I should, because god damn. Kill the Pain Away might be one of my favourites on the entire album. I fucking love Floor Jansen. When we had the singles ahead of this album, we got the song Misplaced Among the Angels, which also has Floor Jansen. I remember thinking, this is good, but I want to hear her in a more big, bombastic song. Well, we got it. And it's this song right here, and it's so good. She's one of the best vocalists in symphonic metal, best singer Nightwish have ever had, and I will always fight to the death on that one. Aside from that, of course, the chorus fucking slaps. It's short but very sweet, and the epic choir, again, just makes this song. And you need an epic choir with Floor Jansen because she's just perfect at that massive scope.
Nobody knows all the pain away. A stranger shelter from the pouring rain. She'll never know it as you hit the trail. All in vain, all in vain.
I mentioned Misplaced Among the Angels, so I'll jump straight ahead to that one. It's okay. It's not my favourite of these mid-tempo Avantasia songs that they have done in recent years. That being said, Floor really gives the real quality of the song. Every time she jumps up to those stratospheric high notes in the chorus, it just melts me like butter. Although I really don't like the ending of the song, where the title is repeated at lower volumes, and then eventually to a whisper. Ew, no, that's too much. No. Bad. I would be remiss, of course, if I didn't mention that a couple days prior to me writing this review, Floor Jansen announced that she was undergoing treatment for breast cancer. My thoughts are with her and her family right now. I can't imagine how scary that must be at this time. There is a link in the description below to a breast cancer charity if you want to support development and treatment and research into that field to help Floor Jansen and other people with that ailment. Wouldn't be an Avantasia album without Jorn. I don't think it can be said how perfectly his voice pairs up with Tobias Sammet. It's just a match made in heaven. Their voices were made to be sung with each other. He's as great as he has always been, and this song brings out the best of him yet again with a stirring chorus. But man, I wish the song had more room to grow into something really epic, to really make the most out of these guys, because my god, they work so well together, and the best long Avantasia songs have these two together, and this song I think was a prime candidate for something much, much bigger. The Moonflower Society might be the most infectiously danceable and catchy rhythm Tobias has written since Twisted Mind back on the Scarecrow album. It's that fucking good.
I see ghosts, specters right around me, living a star, blazing the dark. One by one, pictures gather round me, where those moonflowers used to.
This is a highlight of the entire album for sure. I love the stabbing instruments for the first 4 beats of the chorus on bars 1 and 5. It so effortlessly sits the listener firmly on the beat, just so it makes it that much more fun to listen to. Also, that twinkly section after the second chorus, just it's so good. It's like Tim Burton meets Studio Ghibli, which I know makes no fucking sense at all. It made sense when I thought of it in my head just then, but fuck it. It's when the drums and the violins and everything are all kicking, it's just like a joyous dance around a campfire. It's this whimsical fantasy that Avantasia does that just gets to me, you know? It's at its best at this moment on this album. I'll tackle the 10-minute song now. It's called Arabesque, I believe is how it's pronounced. It is a damn good song. When it started and those pipes came in, I was instantly on board. It's almost as if Tobias knew I'd been on a Saya fix lately, so yeah, that worked. The song is really cool, and as the longest song on the album, it did feel like a fitting end to the album, which, you know, I'm always in favour of the final song feeling like a worthy close of an album. Where I struggle with it is, this song is nowhere near as epic as, say, the massive scope on other big, long Avantasia songs. I don't mean that as a slight. I don't think it wanted to be that. This song isn't intending to be as climactic as Let the Storm Descend Upon You, or as massive as The Scarecrow. It works in what it wanted to be. It's 10 minutes, but it sure as hell doesn't feel like it at all. It's paced perfectly, so it flies by in what feels like half the time, so the songwriting is definitely up to the usual standard on that front. However, I would say, if Avantasia of all bands are going to save their big epic for the end of the album, it should be the most epic song to end all epic songs. Lead out with the biggest bang you can possibly give the album. That, I think, would have mitigated the feeling I had the first time I held the album, as if this big wait and build up for this big moment was worth it. That, I think, is what was missing when I first heard this album. I think if you wanted to keep this song, it should have been one of the first couple tracks, maybe even the first track of the album. I'm sure narratively this song works as a necessary ending, but as I said, that means very little to me. So I guess my qualms with this song aren't the song itself, merely its placement and what I feel it replaces. You could argue that is beyond petty, and you're probably right. But that's just what sticks in my mind when I hear this thing. If there is one thing that metal bands have a really bad habit of doing, especially these days, it's dragging things out beyond their optimum length. How many times have you heard a song and you think that would have been better if it ended 2 minutes ago? I think we can all think of plenty of examples of that. Avantasia, A Paranormal Evening with the Moonflower Society, is one of those very rare exceptions, but I think actually the opposite is my main issue. I think this album has so much more to offer than what it actually ends up giving the listener. The songs are good, possibly even great, but I'm left thinking, where's the rest? Where's everything else? The Wicked Rule the Night, I think, could be longer. The Moonflower Society, I think, could be longer. I Tame the Storm absolutely is too short. I've seen some people say they think this album is too safe by Avantasia standards. I don't think it's that. Nothing is safe when you're writing this kind of music with this many elements going into it. I just think it suffers when you remember how big the scope has been on albums prior. It makes it all the easier to feel that this album was lacking. It doesn't feel like it wants to have a lower scope. It just seems to have a lower scope. With that though, I think if you're a brand new listener to Avantasia, this could be a really good place to start. Not if you want the best stuff, because some of the best stuff is the long shit. But my girlfriend, who doesn't give a fuck about metal, likes some of the Avantasia that she's heard me listening to. I know she wouldn't really enjoy a really long 12-13 minute song, so this album would be perfect in that regard. So if this album does one thing well, it's be concise and short and sweet. But I don't want Avantasia to be short and sweet. I want it to be an epic Lord of the Rings style, this is never going to end kind of vibe. Then again, I guess if my one issue of an album is it's great and I want more, how bad can that really be?